What would you say is the biggest mistake that you see organizations making in tackling cybersecurity vulnerabilities today?
I think that starts with the mindset. A lot of them are ignorant to the pervasiveness of cybersecurity and the attacks that are going on. They have a mindset that it can't happen to me. It could be the other guy. It's going to be the other guy, and that trickles down to a lack of focus, a lack of investment in terms of resources to actually tackle and mediate the problem. That's probably the most prevalent mistake or the most prevalent shortcoming within organizations today. They don't realize the seriousness of the and potential impact of cybercrime.
How has your role as a cyber investigator changed, and how do you adapt to confront to the changing threat landscape, which is in this industry is always evolving?
It is true. It's always evolving. I think training is a big part of that. The challenge is that training costs money and takes time, and while we're doing and getting training, there are still cases out there that still need to be investigated. Another challenge that for us that is huge is that because of the nature of cybercrime, it's a cross-border offense. We'll have a matter reported to us within our jurisdiction, and not too long into the investigation we realize that we have potential persons of interest that are in other jurisdictions because of resolving IP addresses and different traces that we may or may not do. Also working with our social media partners, there are law enforcement departments that work with us. So that's a huge challenge. We can't conduct an investigation within our own jurisdiction, identify a person of interest, make an arrest, and then put it before the courts in our own jurisdiction. With cybercrime, that's the traditional real world of investigation. In the virtual world with cybercrime, it's cross-border, and it's a challenge having to deal with other agencies, other jurisdictions, other governments, and being able to get not just tombstone information, but actual content. We have to write what are called MLATs, which is a mutual lateral assistance treaty. It's like a cross-border search warrant. Most westernized democratic societies acknowledge them and recognize them. But they take time. It's a long process, and with the speed of the internet and the speed of online offenses, sometimes that can be a challenge to deal with.
And you said one of the big things, one of the big challenges for you in law enforcement is just businesses seem to be so hesitant to reach out to folks like yourself when they get in a jam or they figure out they've been breached. So, why are they so hesitant to do that? And how can you work to improve this?
I think it's education. I think it's raising awareness. A lot of the times, depending on the jurisdiction again, they may feel that their local law enforcement is not equipped to investigate a cyber offense. They may feel that the requisite tools and technology and experiences are not there to investigate criminality that is taking place online, on the surface web, or even on the dark web. Another part of the problem is as well that a lot of companies, whether it's public sector or private sector, more so in the private sector, where there are potentially public companies and there's accountability shareholders on the board, and there's the potential for reputational damage. So there's a reputational risk issue that's at play here. So often organizations will hesitate to report because they don't want that information getting out into the wild, into mainstream media, and having it reported, or having it not all the facts necessarily be straight. So they will tend to try and investigate internally, keep the matter curtailed as much as possible, bring in external cybersecurity, and mediate the issue, find out where the breach was, plug the gap, and then move forward without realizing that potentially there's some criminality that's taking place.
And lastly, just in your day-to-day role, what are some of the biggest cybercrime trends that you're seeing currently?
The whole ransomware thing, the whole phishing scam thing that has been around since almost the inception of cyber criminality, it's still a problem. It's still a problem because people are not necessarily getting the message that they need to be And this is beyond having a secure infrastructure where there's proper safeguards around the infrastructure, proper email filtering, proper malware scanning. Organizations are doing good patch management. There's still the human factor at the end of that chain where they're still clicking on things that they shouldn't be clicking on, and that's still the most common attack vector, between individuals being socially engineered and being compromised individually. Then now that's affecting their entire organization. There are a lot of tools that are out there now for cyber criminals to get, so you don't necessarily have to have the skills, the training, the availability of the good technology in terms of hardware and software. You could just potentially have an enemy or a bone to pick, and you can contract some of these services out now through the dark web. So it's a challenging thing. It's a moving target, but part of the message is to sort of evangelize the fact that law enforcement want to be involved. Law enforcement need to be involved. Going to conferences and speaking and raising awareness, and it's like crime has been around since the inception of mankind, and it probably will be for the next X number of millennia. Now it's moved online. Now we have to work harder. We have to work smarter. We have to work together to try and curtail it and keep it under control. But I don't think we'll ever get rid of it.